I think it's a message for people that not to take things so personally. I obviously made a mistake inside the White House. I did something fireable. If I put the president in a bad light or the chief of staff and they thought it was better to get rid of me, you're serving at their discretion. So I dusted myself off, and when he left the White House, I said to him, hey, listen, you're a 4-star U.S. Marine. You've served the country for 4 decades. Let's get together. I understand you're on the speaking circuit now. Do you want to speak at my conference? And so we ended up having lunch in New York City, which for me was a great lunch because he loves the country, I love the country. And I sort of think it's a message for people, let's not try to kill each other. We all love the country. Let's come up with the right policies that will serve the best interests of the American people. And in the meantime, John's now in the public sector. I want to get John away from Joseph A. Banks and into Brioni. Okay, so my job is to help him out and get him as many speaking opportunities as I can. And I thought the SALT conference was a good showcase for that. And I said something that everyone laughed at yesterday. I said the IPO of our friendship started at an all-time low and traded lower 22 months ago, but now I like the trajectory of our stock. It's up on heavy volume and it's going in the right direction. And I hope 3, 4, 5 years from now, John and I will consider ourselves close friends.
It's a very cool story. And not that there's anything wrong with Joseph A. Banks, but everybody wants to level up, when it comes to
no,
their wardrobe.
I like Joseph A. Banks, but he's in the, look, H.R. McMaster is a great friend of mine. He was buying his suits from a Afghani tailor, and they were probably $90 a suit, okay? So we could do better for our retired military, okay? We got to get them in Brioni.
That's right. The suit makes the man, as they say. All right. It's been a great event, too, and I was also a little surprised. I did read the lineup, but Jeff Sessions there. You have a great crowd, and you have for several years. But, they were talking about the difference in the definitions of spying during that panel discussion. Yesterday, Chris Christie was also on the panel. But let's play a clip of Jeff Sessions and take a listen real quick.
I think that spying is a perfectly good word. And then they had this lady, apparently, that was sent in to Papadopoulos. Is that a spy? I mean, I don't know. So I just would say, take more facts to come out. I think that's a mountain out of a molehill.
So I wanted to get your take on this whole back and forth of spying, not spying. It seems like congressional Democrats are just hell-bent on investigating this until they get what they want. Do you think Republicans, though, should pursue this and investigate the investigators?
Look, I mean, everybody in the Republican Party gets super mad at me. They want to go after these guys very, very hard. I would prefer the Inspector General do it. I would prefer the president's time talking about the economic miracle that he's created in the United States and why his policies have been so good for so many Americans. But, they're in a kabuki theater. These guys, you're talking about the Chinese, they have 25, 50, 100-year plans in China. We're running a kabuki theater on Capitol Hill where this guy doesn't like that guy and that woman doesn't like this person, and they're going back and forth on each other. And I just personally think it's a bunch of nonsense. The Mueller Report, which I have read, all 448 pages, and I went to law school with Rod Rosenstein. He was one of my classmates in law school. We sat in the same section together. I trust him. I trust William Barr. I read the report. Are there some nefarious and things in there that I don't like? Yes. But the president, based on that analysis, okay, didn't do anything that could lead him down the path to an indictment or to an impeachment. If they want to go in that direction for political purposes, I just think it's very, very bad for the country. And I would like people to move forward. Somebody asked me in a Rorschach test today, they said Mueller Report. I had to give one-word response. Mueller Report, I said over.
Right.
It's over.
Right.
Let's move on, guys.
And polling information seems to indicate that, too. I think there was a new Harris poll that says 58% of the country want Democrats to move on in a different direction. I also wanted to ask you about James Comey and something he recently wrote in an op-ed in the New York Times. And I'm going to quote Comey here. Proximity to an amoral leader reveals something depressing. I think that's at least part of what we've seen with Bill Barr and Rod Rosenstein. Accomplished people lacking inner strength can't resist the compromises necessary to survive Mr. Trump, and that adds to something that they will never recover from. It takes character like Mr. Mattis or General Mattis to avoid the damage because Mr. Trump eats your soul in small bites. Now, you work for the president. What's your take on Comey's assessment there of working for him?
Look, listen, I've watched his interviews. I don't know him personally. I read parts of his book, but I think it's a very, very sanctimonious thing. You know, and the whole title of the book, Higher Loyalty, you know, he did lie to the Congress. He did pass information that was confidential to one of his friends and quote unquote leaked it. He had no love for the president, and this whole dossier, this Steele dossier, it didn't seem like it was really legitimate reason to start an investigation like that, and obviously Mueller proved in the report that there was no collusive activity by the president. So I don't like the president calling Director Comey a dirty cop, and I don't like Director Comey saying that people that have worked for the president have had their soul eaten. But you know, listen, we're in a free society. I was out with Admiral McRaven last night and General Petraeus, and I would agree with them on this, and they've said it publicly, so I think it's okay to share on the air. You know, you want to disagree with John Brennan, you want to disagree with James Comey. Everybody has a free speech mechanism and the political right to do that. Let's just try to hold our institutions sacred, because we have to pass on these very successful institutions to our children and our grandchildren. And so let's not have it devolve into that kind of a freak show. And I think, unfortunately, James Comey should take a chill pill, go back and take a walk in the woods, possibly a Xanax, and say, okay, you know what? Let's move on, Jim.
Yeah, I think he's a breathe into a paper bag guy, because that's what he said that the Republicans need to do too, but maybe you should take his own advice. All right, while we have you here,
I think so.
Yeah, while we have you here, one last question for you. I want to get your take on the 2020 field, which now includes, I think, 21 or 22 candidates. Which one of these candidates, though, do you think the president or presents the greatest challenge to President Trump's reelection?
Well, I think the president thinks he's running against Joe Biden. So I think that it's interesting, because I think Bernie Sanders has a very high floor of about 20%, but he also has a reasonably low ceiling of about 30. And so we'll have to see if Joe can knock him off the chessboard. He's certainly raising a ton of money. He was here in Las Vegas on Monday, raised $500,000 in a few hours. And Vice President Biden, who attended this SALT conference in 2017, is somebody I genuinely like, but I just don't see a conventional politician beating President Trump, because they had 17 or 18 of them in 2016 on the Republican side. He took them out. He had the Clinton machinery. He took them out. And we both know that the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and trying to get a different outcome. And so as much as I like Joe Biden, I think he falls in that category of establishment and conventional politician. And I think he's the president can take an orange rolling ball and roll it into those 21 people. And I don't know if there's ever been a 21-pin strike in bowling history, but I think that's what the president's going to do here with that group.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel. Newsmax TV is now available for free on your smartphone. Just go to your iPhone or Android store and download the free Newsmax TV app. Then you can watch free TV news with an American spin anytime, anywhere in the world. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.